a lot of questions and expectations. What should you know? What should you consider going into a new job? We have the experts here to tell us all about it. We've been joined in studio by Irabna Nikwe. She's the head of HR Focus. And then we'll also have Emmeline Date join us via Zoom. She's a leadership and career coach. Good morning.
Good morning.
Rabbi.
Thank you so much for having me.
Good to see you.
I would never think Rabbi is a short form of Irabna. It sounded very like Muslim.
This woman is
to me.
Chichi, so.
Rabbi.
Yeah.
That's the first time I'm hearing
Rabbi
that.
Atu.
Something
like that.
It was given. It wasn't self-made.
Ah.
People just started calling me Rabbi and it stuck. Yeah.
Nice.
Thing.
Anyways,
Which one has more demand, whether or not you're being offered a job or you applied and you got the job? In which way, in which sense? At the barest minimum, it gets to be an offer anyway. If you apply, you'd be offered.
Yeah.
But if you're not the one that went seeking and then you're
came for you.
offered, which one gives you more room to negotiate, to have a conversation?
Definitely the latter. When you're being offered without applying. Usually that happens when you're trying to poach, because companies would only seek for talent that they know would offer the value that they're looking for. So I would go out on a limb to give you an offer, knowing that what you have is what I need. You seem to be the right fit from what we see you do. So it's possible you're already doing something similar to what we need you to do. And so we're giving you an offer to join our team. And in that case, you would more or less have more leverage to dictate what your terms should be. So, and also it's that is very the generic case. If I apply for a job and the company sees that you actually have what we need, you can still dictate or still leverage, because at the end of the day, there is a gap that the company needs to be filled.
Right.
So whichever way you look at it, you're still talent that is desirable if you have what it takes.
I mean, I'll ask because not all of the jobs to give the opportunity for people to poach.
Yeah.
And so companies never know what they can get until that person applies and adds their work experience and what they're worth before they go like, okay, then they want to have a conversation. But now that we know, it looks like it all settles down to what you are and what you're offering. So whether you're being pushed, whether you're the one that applied, you have some point where you can negotiate.
Yeah.
I mean, what is the confusion if you've been given an offer? What is the confusion? If we all aspire to do great, we aspire to get a job, you know. And so what will be like, why do we have a meeting talking about job offer?
So getting into bed with a company, accepting a job, it's a long-term conversation, especially if that's your priority. So first things first, as an individual, you need to know what you need.
Right.
The confusion comes when what you need or what you want is not exactly what they're giving. Then you would have to do a cost-benefits analysis. Okay, my ideal case, my ideal life, I should have this amount of money coming in as disposable income, right? But this is what they're offering, and it doesn't have as much disposable income, but it may have other things that may be on the plate that I didn't think about. So the confusion comes when you have to see, is this worth letting go of what I dreamed or what I desire? What I desire, is it realistic? Is it something I can get somewhere else? So then you make that analysis. So for example, I know somebody that took a very good job, relocated their family because it was paying big money enough to make that big life decision. They start the job and they realize that the big money is because there's a lot to be done. Literally, you work more than 24 hours. And you're expected.
Okay, I like somebody who laughs like me.
And it was generally understood that, you know, it's heavy expectations, but the extent to it was not that clear.
Okay.
So now they're in the job, but they're wondering, was this really worth it? How long do I have to get out? You know? And that's where you don't want to be. So then this conversation comes in before you get into that place where you feel like you're stuck. And before you get stuck and get into the conversation for the long term, you need to be able to explore all your options and make the right decision that is best for you.
Beautiful.
We should
you want to go to
Emmeline.
Hello,
good morning.
Emmeline,
Yes.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, guys. Good to see you again.
Good to see you.
You have been missed.
Very much so. Thank God for a new year.
Absolutely. Going here.
Yes, Emmeline. I mean, Rabbi just began a conversation, but we'd also like to take from you or ask you, what are some of the things to consider going into a new job?
It's interesting that we're having this discussion, and I'm so grateful that MX24 has picked it up. The young people especially usually are victims because, especially for those who are first-timers at the workplace or the world of work, they really are not equipped with information. And so because for the agency to have a job, everybody just goes in without understanding there are certain things you need to know before landing a job. So there are certain crucial aspects that you need to know. But before I say that, I want to use this platform to advise whether you're a first-time person working or you've been working and you've not enjoyed, some of the job offers, or you've landed in shocks of your life, as Rabna has told us of some. One thing you need to know is that there are laws that regulate, working relationships. And it's unfortunate that we don't like to read. So the labor law of Ghana is available for everybody, especially employees, to know their rights and know the limitations that even employers have with you. So first thing I would say is know about the labor law. It's free on the internet. The Act 651 again. What is it? I've almost forgotten. The labor law. Just type the labor law of Ghana on the internet, and you will finally download it, and you would be happy you did. Now, one thing you need to know is that during the interview process, you may not have all the information you need to make a decision. You are only hopeful that you land the job and it's exactly what you want. If you are fortunate that they call you back to even let you consider looking at their offer, that's a great plan. And so one thing you should look out for is how they relate with you even after they tell you congratulations, you've been accepted. Making sure that they are transparent, they give you a contract to review. Because if they don't have that initial relationship with you, chances are that is how they actually are. And no working relationship can be successful if you have poor communication amongst, employees or within the employer-employee, relationship. So, and that will bring you down to the culture. So you are looking out for workplace culture. I know during interviews, people would ask you, what kind of culture do you have? And obviously, we can always give you answers, but you will get to know from the onset as to before you sign a contract, whether indeed these people have the kind of vibe you're looking for. Another thing I'm looking out for is the kind of salary they're paying you. Before I left corporate Ghana, I have sat in organizations where, they don't have a salary structure. And so salaries are given based on what they feel, what they think, this lady is beautiful. She deserves this amount of money. This gentleman is tall. They don't have a corporate system of doing things. When you notice that you have, and having in mind, do your research, because we have salary benchmarks. That's what a lot of people don't know. Google it, it's all there. Salary structure or salary benchmarks in Ghana. A lot of resources. When you find out that they're underpaying you and they don't have something, should I say, to complement the reason why they can't pay you a lot, but they make you think that, oh, this is what we have, take it or leave it. No, that is a red flag, okay? You should, anybody who gives you a meaningful salary that would not make you burdened, coming to work, that is the kind of company you want to look out for. We do understand that many companies may not be able to afford certain things, but if a company cannot pay you much, do they offer work-life balance? So you can't come to work every day because the salary I'm giving you will not meet your needs. So we give you a flexible, work environment. But if they are insisting that that's the salary they give you and you have to come to work every day, whether you have money or not, chances are that you will not be happy on the job. Okay? So look out for work-life balance, look out for the benefits they have. If they can't pay you enough cash, what can they give you to buffer some of the needs you have? Because as an employee, if you are not focused on the job because of personal issues, obviously it is not legitimate for any employer to expect the best to come out of you. So you need to look at that. And another thing one thing I've noticed, working hours. Some job offers, I think Ramna just talked about it, crazy working hours that does not make any sense. And when you try to, explain to them or try to understand the reason why, you notice that people just want to use you and rip you off. So the Ghana labor law says that when you work 8 hours, that is I think that's the minimum or the maximum, sorry. And even if you need to work, what we call overtime. Overtime is not every day. Overtime is done as and when there is what we call business exigency.
Yeah.
Okay, so people who assume that overtime is an everyday thing, no, it shouldn't be, because it will impact your health. What is the use of an employee who is overstressed? To me, the person will come to the office, physically he's present, but absent-minded, and I'm expected to pay the person a salary. What is my return on investment? So many employers think that they are using people, but they don't know that they're actually losing out when they use people that way. Another thing you need to look out for is potential or opportunities to. Is this a company that would give you a chance to be better? Now, when we say opportunities for growth, it's not just promotion, because some job or organizational structures are not tall enough for everybody to move from one position to the other. But within your space, even if that is the kind of structure they have, do they still allow you to, in your scale, do they expand your job? Do they give you offers for training? Do they make you job shadow anybody? Do they make you have alternative the job rotations just to experience one another job? And what is their passion for making sure that you? And then another caveat too is when people offer you salaries without looking at your experience. So I remember working somewhere where they didn't have a structure. They normally would hire people based on other things than work experience. So, this person is I hire my auntie's best friend's daughter, or I'm those kind of how would I say, personal reasons for recruiting. I've worked in companies like that, and that really didn't serve a lot of employees well. And people ended up understanding that MFI is more experienced, is less experienced than myself, but she's earning more than me. And that bring a lot of, bad vibe to the company. People feel that there's no equity. Everybody should be paid for their level of experience and then their competency. It should match the person's profile, ability to deliver. And so when you notice that they don't have that kind of a system, chances are that when you get there, you will not have the best experience. Yeah. Also look out for reviews and testimonials, the feedback from somebody called me one time working in a particular company. A competitor called him and said they wanted him. And he called me, "Oh man, I know you used to work here. Do you think I should move?" The first thing I said was, "Brother, have you made enough money in your account so that when you move to where you are going and you are disappointed, you will not regret?"
That's basically don't.
Please be very careful. Yeah, I wouldn't tell you, no, I have worked there before, so I would not want to, but I will give you some, the kind of, if I would say, "Oh, of course, yeah, of by all means." But when I start asking you questions, know that there's something underneath.
Yeah.
And the moment that you get that kind of feedback, be very careful. So these are some of the things when you're going or accepting a job offer, you should look out for.
Yeah. Okay. Let's come back to studio.
Okay.
So she takes a breather.
Yes,
we'll
please hold on. I have some 2 questions for you. Yeah.
But so you're
let's
okay.
Let's do
Robbie, let's go to even the decision, taking the decision. So a job offer would go to somebody who already has a job or who doesn't have a job. Now the transition period. Okay. I mean, we've been laying a lot on what you should look out for before you transition. The transition period. Do you always take a job offer that you need or is what you want? At what point in a person's career, right, do you have to take a job offer that is a need or a want? Because we're talking about growth anyway.
Yeah.
So please let's understand.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I'm sure.
I had a similar question. Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's okay. I think there are lots of nuances involved, and the situations would differ across board. That's what I was finding out earlier.
Yeah.
What our demographic we're speaking to. So we get cases, HR Focus, one of the things that we do under the mother company, Lenny, is recruiting. One of the requests we get is professionals that just want a change of scene. So maybe I have been in FMCG since I finished national service, but I want to move from FMCG to maybe hospitality. But because I've had so many years in FMCG, maybe 15, 20, 25 years, the thing is that is the sole expertise that I have. The difficulty then is the industry you want to get into would not really be interested in you because they think you don't have the necessary experience.
Right.
But at that point, it's something you want, not necessarily because you need to change roles. It's a desire because probably you're in a rut and you're tired of your circumstances and you want to change it. But when usually you find out that in the younger ages, when you're now setting out for your career, you have a lot of desires, right? And very high expectations. But the job market may not necessarily offer what you need or what you're looking for. So then you feel like there's the need to settle. So usually when you're younger, you go for what you need, which is anything that you can get to build your portfolio, to build value, to improve upon yourself. And then you use that to build to get what you want.
Okay.
Now there are a lot of outliers, but this is what usually standard happens. And when you go beyond a certain point, when you are more mature in your career, you're able to pull the ropes and determine what exactly it is you've seen, because you've worked in the world of work for a while and you know what works for you and what doesn't work for you. And really and truly, it comes down to what your priorities are.
Right.
If I have set in my mind that I want to retire by 40, then I would do all the unnecessary and unrealistic working hours and get as much money in my bank account, like Evelyn said, so that no matter where I move, if I'm uncomfortable, at least
you have a backup.
I have a backup plan.
Okay.
You know, so if that's the trajectory you want to go to, that's fine. But then there are people that prioritize living, enjoying the work that they do. Being mindful of purpose. And usually I find that is the most secure because then there's fulfillment in your day-to-day activities.
More than the other things.
More than the other things. Because you could get a lot of money in your bank account, but then you could feel empty inside when you come into the office.
Okay.
Personal
Let's stay
advice.
with you.
Let me ask you something. Personal advice. If you're in your mid-30s, if someone came to you and they were in your mid-30s, what would you advise them to, if they get a new job offer, would you tell them to look at how much they're getting, or should they look at purpose and growth? Mid-30s. This is not an 18-year-old.
What's it depend on the time you want to retire?
Because of my personal
That's a personal advice.
mindset. The purpose.
The purpose, yeah?
Yeah, because, you know, you're thinking about when you retire, how do you know you get there? Like, no need to be morbid, right?
Yeah.
But then, how much impact are you going to make? How much meaning does it make in your life? You know, like the founder of Learning HR wrote a book about why are you here, and essentially at Learning HR, what we are mindful about is building people and impacting upon lives and businesses, right? And you cannot make impact when there's no meaning in what you're doing.
Okay.
So your career really should make meaning to you. You should know why you're doing it, so that not that you do what you love to do for meager pay or you wouldn't be valued in what you're doing. You can do what you love and still be given what is due you.
Yeah.
You get what I mean?
Yeah.
But then there shouldn't be the trade-off.
Right.
Because if the trade-off happens, it's usually for short term. You find people living certain lives where I will be making enough so that if I'm sick of the job, I'll just take a weekend flight and go to Greece and come back. You know, I'm making enough to do that.
Is it realistic? Finding purpose in is there genuine balance? Because I've been learning in this my short stay on this earth is that there's always one that supersedes the other.
Yeah.
When you're getting purpose, you are most likely not being paid what you deserve.
What you desire.
What you desire.
Yeah.
What you desire, not even what you deserve.
Yeah.
What you desire. Also, when you're getting what you desire, you're not fulfilling purpose.
Yeah.
Is it very common to have purpose and desire at the same time? Is it very common?
I don't think so.
It's not common.
I don't think so. But you see, the payments, the fulfillment you get when you feel like you're not getting paid what you desire, I think makes up the gap.
Okay.
I would rather live a full, happy life than an empty one with a full bank account. Because then eternally,
Yeah. This question has a bearing on what you just asked. That okay, so it's not everybody that is looking to move or is looking to switch their jobs that will get an offer. However, if this offer comes, how long? Have you done a test? Have you done any research to find out how long you need time to think it through, especially for that person who was not looking to change?
Just came,
because when you're looking to change, when it comes, it's like, whoa, that's it. But if you're not looking, what then? How long should you look out for? Who should you speak to? What is in the contract? What should you really look out for before you decide whether it's a no or yes?
Okay, so your current situation, you look at your current situation and see how much you want to change. So if the offer comes, it seems like a better offer on the surface, right? You need to make sure that you're looking deeper beyond the surface, because there are lots of things below the red line, non-compete clauses, NDAs, things that will just prevent you from exercising your rights as an employee when it comes to certain situations. And because you're not in the organization, you cannot really predict what kind of situations you may need to, exercise certain rights and freedoms. So you need to first of all really take your time. If the offer came on its own, then it probably would come with a timeline. And if the timeline is unrealistic, maybe give us a response in 3 days. What do you really want me to do with that? I need to first look into what you do if you are a good fit for me, because companies usually think that they're looking for the right fit with regards to the employees, but employees should also understand that there are companies that will not be a right fit for you. So first I need to look into whether you're a right fit for me, look into what you're offering, look into if it's a better offer than I have. So for example, you're bringing in more money, but your organization is like 2 hours further than where I currently work. Would it cost me more to get to work when I work with you than it costs me to get to work now? What are the other benefits you're adding on? So if you're moving from your current role, you shouldn't go to a place where you're getting less than you're getting now. But then you shouldn't assume that on face value, it seems more, so it's actually more.
Right.
You need to look, that's what Emmeline was saying, was like you need to really look into the contract. If the company is being open in communication, you're able to ask certain questions. What is actually available to me? So you say this is what my roles are. On a day-to-day, what does that really mean? Before you're sort of gaslighted and you're told one thing and then they actually mean another thing. So as an individual, you need enough time, and that could mean 2 weeks, a month, depending on who it is or what the situation is. You could take your time. You could the conversation. Sometimes negotiations could even go for 6 months to a year, because it also depends on the level. So when we're doing executive searches, it's not a 1 month conversation kind of situation, because there's a lot that I'm managing in this role, and for me to step away, I need to give some form of notice, first of all. But then before I even give that notice, I need to have considered all my options, made all my negotiations, and be certain what I'm getting if I move from here. So sometimes it depends on the level of the talent you're seeking to acquire. You should put in 6 months to a year and a half if it's really high level, but then there are some that are really low level, that a month. Some people they were not looking, but they are desperate to move.
Some is miracle.
Yes,
it's great.
Yes,
a blessing.
So when they go,
I have a follow-up to what you just said, but I'd like to ask Emmeline that. Emmeline, when it comes to, I think one of the areas that we're scared of as employees who are going to a new job is the negotiation part. When you've decided that now I want to get into this, but this is what they are offering me. Let's take it from the person who has been offered something. You're afraid that, perhaps if I go and mention something, now I want to go. But if I go and mention something, they may say they won't give it to me, so I'll just accept whatever they are giving me. Should you start asking questions from people who are already working in the organization, and should you listen to what they tell you?
That's a very, very tricky one, especially in the parts of the world we live in. In the Western world, salaries are exposed. I mean, if you go to BBC, for example, you can tell what people are being paid. So even with that, it's not a big deal. And even still with that, people still negotiate. Where we come from, we similarly want to keep salaries hidden.
Yeah.
But even at that, in my experience when I was working as HR in corporate Ghana, whether you had a salary or not, employees will still talk about it. There are times when even as HR, not all contracts were given to me, so I would hear salaries of certain people, from staff themselves, and they come and complain. HR, why would you pay this person? I'm in shock that, okay, I'm sorry, but certain decisions are way above my pay grade.
Yeah.
And so if you are able to get, but I know there are people who, before they came into some companies I worked in, they got information from people they know working there regarding salaries before they came in to negotiate. And so if you do have the opportunity, or if you are fortunate to have an insider that can give an information, but then if the person has signed a confidentiality clause not to speak, the person may or may not. And in Ghana, for example, people do things for personal reasons. So if the person is a very close friend, the person obviously will let you know, but let you know that it should be not told that he or she told you. So yes, there's nothing wrong with starting from that point. However, I'm very happy to say that there's some research that has gone on beyond what I said earlier, that you can always find information about how much, for example, a media person is taking on the internet, on certain resources. You would find my wage pay, something Africa pay or something.com. They are there, they have done their research on salaries. So you can easily go there and find it and start negotiating from there. Now, I know the confidence in negotiating in this part of the world is very low, because the fear is that if you negotiate your worth and these people cannot afford, you will not be hired.
Yeah.
And Erapna said certain things that I think we all need to pay attention to. And I will add this: if you know your value, do not be afraid to negotiate. There are certain people who have positioned themselves in a way that even before you even come to the negotiation table, the people hiring you have heard of your value. Okay? So when people know your value, people know your worth, they know, have you not experienced something like you are too qualified for the role? Have you ever heard of something like that? Has anyone told you that before?
Yes.
Those people have seen that, Charlie, if I hire this person, I may not be able to pay the person. But Rabna says something. What is your purpose for the job?
Yeah.
Are you in for the money, or that is what gives you job satisfaction? So if you love to be on air and you're not fortunate to find yourself in a media house that can pay you as much as a competitor can, will you want to start from here and build up to maybe when you can actually get that opportunity? And that's what people have done, and today they are working in places that are paying them their worth. So it all boils down to your career goals. What are you looking for? Are you in for the money, or you are in for purpose? Either way, that will determine how you handle negotiation. But I will end by saying this: negotiate confidently. But if your purpose is not about money, but about the opportunity, use words like, I would be very happy if I could be paid this amount. However, I am open to negotiation. What do you have on the table? What do you pay people in your company per your structure? Okay? But if you are somebody who is either they give it to you or you are out, and people that do that normally are high flyers, or you are somebody that you have option A, B, C, and D waiting for you, then obviously you can, I take 10,000
like
plus this better benefit. Yeah. So this is how to approach it. Yeah.
I also ask because you realize that for most, even media houses and most companies, when you're going in, the money, the money they offer you sounds very juicy, and you know that, oh, this is good, I'm going to do it. And then you enter and realize that after the third month, you're not being paid. You're not being paid.
Exactly.
And there are issues. So just so you don't get shortchanged, where you're excited, oh, I'm going to this job, I'm going to be paid this amount. And you don't know that, Charlie, even the people working there, they've not received their salary for the last 3 months. So it's good to ask questions of the people in there, right? Okay.
Very important.
I have a question about when you have been given an offer, or it's an agreement or whatever it is. I know that they say engage a lawyer. Between an HR and a lawyer, who should you best give your contract? I mean, I'm not talking about personal agreements. If you have a contract with somebody personal. If it's a company that's offering you, because they have the human resource department very active, and mostly you would do your negotiations with human resource. Should you engage the services of a lawyer, or not for a human resource company like yours, a million and all? Who's your best foot forward?
If you're looking to get insights on labor law issues, things that have to do with legal procedure, like if there's an NDA, a non-compete clause, you want to know in reality what it actually means. A lawyer would probably help you better with that. But if you want to know with regard to the people management aspect of the contract, like the day-to-day work, I wouldn't say go to the HR of that same company. Was that what you were saying?
No.
Yes, but an HR practitioner, a consultant would
Yes.
be able to speak better to what the contract means. So it depends. So there are also some HR practitioners that are really well knowledgeable when it comes to labor law, and you should be able to determine whose expertise you're looking for. If it's performance management, if it's organizational culture, if it's if it has to do with your talents, there are people that have expertise in different areas. But if it has to do with the legalities of the contract and the job role and all that it entails, it's probably a lawyer that would be able to speak. So a lawyer that is also well versed or experienced in labor law. Because they're really broad areas, both HR practice and labor law.
That's because you hardly hear people say, I engaged the human resource practitioner to actually look into this. Is this a normal practice in the human resource industry? Like, is this offer they're giving me humane or not?
I think nowadays it's getting different. We're getting more consultants. There's consultancy. What we do at HR Focus is HR marketing communications and HR consultancy. So we speak about HR strategy, both for employees and for HR practitioners. So I think that's becoming more popular now. I'm sure Emmeline will also be able to speak to that. People just reach out to you. Yeah, HR, I should bring my CV to you. I'm looking for this. Oh yeah, HR, can you answer this? This happened the other day. Is that allowed?
Is it free?
I think it depends on your proximity to the person asking.
Because it has to be free.
Oh yeah, in this part of the world, certain things people would not pay for. So more often than not, we do it pro bono. But there are some people who may be on the executive level where they pay for executive coaching and stuff. They pay for those things. But for the younger ones, they basically will not be paying anything. So we do pro bono for them.
Emmeline, I have a question.
Sure.
Should you go into a new job with expectations? Because I realize that a lot of people have, I'm not happy who I am, my colleagues are no longer, friendly. I have this bad blood with my colleagues. I'm going to this place. I'm going to be excited. I'm going to meet new people. Should you go into a new job with an expectation, or should you be very open-minded and know that, Charlie, anything can happen anywhere?
You see, generally in life, expectations need to be calculated. There are people who have moved from places that have come to work in certain places that have been and have regretted, and some have even gone back to where they came from. So with what we've seen so far, you need to manage your expectations, do your research. Knowledge is powerful, and how we use it is very important. So we've labored, also we've hit on the fact that research is important. So don't make emotional decisions. When you make emotional decisions, then your expectations are off the roof. You think that, the grass is greener on the other side. But it's not always the case. So when your experience is bad from a job, see it as a lesson. It's not always so bad that where you were, you regretted. No, don't have regrets. Learn your lessons and use the opportunities to be better, and be hopeful that when you are finding yourself, you give it a chance to explore with all the lessons you have learned, and then you add more value to yourself and the organization. So I would answer you by saying manage your expectations.
Do you have a question for her? I
No,
have one more for her before she goes.
Okay.
One more question before you go, and we're going to let you go. Emmeline, now, going into a new job, honestly, what attitude should I go in with? Do I go... Because it's a new place. People expect you to be friendly. People expect you to create rapport and all that. Should you go and make friends, or should you really... Good advice for 2024. What attitude should you go into a new job with?
I wish I was Emmeline right now to give you this answer.
Yeah, I wanted to come from her.
So one of the things as career coaches we tell people who want to climb the ladder or who want to progress is to have a certain kind of demeanor that is appealing and attractive. I'll use myself as an experience, and I'm sure a rapper would share the same. I have not gotten to where I am just because of my knowledge, but because of my people skills. Knowing how to relate with people is gold. Trust me. the security man at the gates may be the best friend you could ever have because he knows things you should know. If you go to a workplace and you are all into yourself, you're shading yourself from people, how would you get to know information you need to move to the next level? There are certain mistakes we have made. Exactly. There are certain mistakes we've made because we refuse to relate with people who would have told us don't do things this way. You need to have an appealing and very nice. Nobody says go to work and make friends. No, be friendly. It's a word, okay? Naturally, you would find yourself among people who share you share things in common with, and you end up becoming friends. But you're not mandated to be everybody's friend when you go to a new job space. Remember that our personalities too will take a toll on us. I'm an extrovert, so when I go somewhere new, it's easy for me to make friends. Somebody else might be an introvert. They take their time to study the environment before they even talk to people. So no matter who you are, just make sure you are confident and then you are approachable, you are warm, and then you are willing to know people and get to help others. That will really help you take your career up to the ladder.
Thank you so much, Emmeline Daunting. Where can we find you quickly before you go?
Oh, I'm all over the internet. You find me on Instagram, Motivator_GH, on Facebook, Coach Emma, on LinkedIn, Emma Daunting. I'll see you there.
Thank you.
Emmeline, Happy New Year. Bye-bye.
Happy New Year. Bye.
So we'll finish. Let's do a reality check.
Okay.
So you thought you did all the due diligence. You took the offer. You went, and you have shocks.
What do you do?
What do? You stay or leave?
How bad are the shocks?
Manageable.
If I'm asking you, then it means it's shock. It's real shock enough. Because manageable, then you're not going to be asking because you can manage it, right?
Yeah.
But is there a principle of going back if you have the opportunity to go back?
Like
what does
back
it
to
look
where
like?
I used to work?
Yes. Look at
should you go back to where you used to work?
Look at you have shocks.
Okay.
And you have a going back opportunity. Or just taking a step, and there are no other offers.
Okay.
Or just taking a step away from everything and, cooling your head off and recalibrating life. Or, my mother would say, 10 toe fingers, you won't die. Stay in there and manage the shocks or what.
Exactly. It depends on how you left the first place. So I moved from company A to company B. If my direct supervisor or HR was in the know, and I didn't just, without
jump ship
without notice or without assistance. Sometimes some organizations are set up such that there is, at that level where you want to move from, there's no opportunity to move to the next level. Like there are no vacancies when it comes to going up the ladder, right? But that doesn't mean that they are not desirable, like they don't desire for your growth. So you could see that I want to learn more, I want to do more, but over here, that opportunity is not there. There are some organizations that are people-centered to the extent that they would even reference you to other industries, maybe like on a personal level, not, on a corporate level. So that's what Emmeline was saying. With people skills, if I'm able to manage the people around me, I can have that conversation. So this January 2024, I can start having the conversation with my supervisor when we're doing end of year reviews for last year that I'm not really feeling like I can move up the ladder here. And it's because of this and this reasons. Maybe it's from what I'm seeing. Then they'll let you know the reality. Or you come and say, I've got this number of offers, and I turn them down. But at this point, with what's happening here, I'm considering moving. What do you advise? When it comes to your career, primarily, human beings like to look out for themselves. And I don't think it depends on the situation, but I don't think there's anything wrong if you're looking for yourself.
I'm with you.
So what works for you is you're trying to move up the career ladder. Would this company be able to help you? If they can't, they will own it and assist you. But some people would really not care. They will just you are valuable for them and they will just suppress you. It really depends on where you are. But if you left the company well and you have that people relations with the people that you used to work with, the supervisors, the HR, you go into the role they knew you were going into and there were some shocks. You could always have that conversation if there's room for you to come back so that you can figure yourself out. it happens. It happens. There's nothing new under the sun.
What happens to you?
Let me give her a
It's
real.
it's a personal thing. If your pride will not allow you to come back, if your
It's-
pride will not
it's
allow
pride-
you to
it's
come
pride,
back,
eh?
then you
It's
will have to
pride.
grin and bear
Yeah.
it. But if it's unbearable for you, then you have to eat humble pie and have a conversation.
This one, she doesn't have humble pie.
What kind of pie is it? Meat pie or fish pie?
Probably a mixture because
Yeah,
it's bittersweet.
let me give you a real case in point.
Okay.
Help me. And this is the first time I'm saying this openly.
Okay.
Okay. My last job before this place. Perhaps I just want to know if I didn't leave well. And I want to understand what leaving well means.
Okay.
This is a place where I was, no bragging, but I was like the center.
Of attention.
You understand? It's a TV station. So I did everything. My boss and I had a beautiful relationship. Everything was okay until I got an offer. Okay. And I thought, oh, this offer is good. Okay. Money-wise, things it came with and all that. And it also gave me the opportunity to grow. Okay. But my heart was so much in where I was because it was my first TV station. I go to boss and say, so after thorough thinking, and I say, okay, boss, I have news. I got an offer, and I want to consider it.
What was boss's reaction?
Oh, really? Okay. All right then. Well, okay. Not happy at all. He was not happy because he had plans. We had planned a lot of things.
Yeah.
And we had planned it together.
Yeah.
And I was leaving, so I can get the emotional part of it. But we said we're going to. Whether I'm right, I want to know whether I'm right or wrong. Was it wrong for me to accept another offer, or was it wrong for him to not even attempt to make a counter offer and say, hey, okay, what are these people giving you? I understand you want to grow, blah, 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 blah. This is what I can do for you. Do you think that you can still stay with me so that we, just that? But for the boss to say, well, if you got an offer and you think it's good, well, go. I wish you all the best and blah, blah, blah. Until now, it's not happy with me. Doesn't talk to me.
Oh.
Yep.
So this one, like you're saying, it's an emotional thing.
Oh.
It's emotional, eh?
Yeah. So I know someone who, very similar situation. We made plans, we had conversations, there was a growth trajectory, there was a lot of expectations, and the person just decided to move out. And it's a personal decision for them to be okay with you. I don't think this is on the professional level, because you could circle back and have a conversation with what would you have expected me to do if you were in my shoes? Maybe for him, what he had going was more valuable enough to ignore any other offer and stick to it until the visions that we had materialized. But for you, there was something else on the table. So I don't think it was either of you were wrong. It's just an issue of circumstances, because whatever issue was there could have been hashed out with a conversation. So if you had expected that, if you really wanted me to stay, you could have given me a counter offer that would have made me realize that you value me enough to keep me. But if at that time you couldn't make me a counter offer, you could have even said that I would love to make a counter offer, but right now where we are, we can't do that. So can you stick with us till this time so that we can match this? Probably that would have even persuaded you to stay.
It would have. It's relationship.
So it's exactly. So it's
for me.
And one thing I've realized with relationships is it's really communication. So how was it communicated? How did he understand your communication? So you were probably coming to tell him that, like, this is an issue I'm going through. How should I go about it? As a big brother advised me. But he took it as, you're coming to me as a boss to come and get more money out of me. Then go.
Right.
It's really people. And that's one thing I've realized with working with Lenny. Lenny says they were the people, right? We're the people to go to speak to about people issues. Human beings are so complex. You can't use just one situation to match another. So your situation, you wiping tears. Your situation.
Well, I cried when I was leaving, so.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I was not because I was leaving, but because I was hurt by
The situation.
Yeah.
He's hurt that you can conceive the idea, so you even want to come and discuss with him. But anyway, guys, we're unable to exhaust. Sorry. Tell them we're sorry. I mean, we're unable to exhaust the conversation here. So what we're gonna do is direct you to Robbie to pick up the conversation. Where can we find you?
So Rabbi Nikwe or Irabna Nikwe. If you search me, you'll find me. CK you shall find. But also HR Focus You, at HR Focus You, you could reach out to us. If you don't get through to me, you'd be given another very competent consultant to assist you.
Irabna we want?
Yes, it was me. Okay. Yeah. Then when you reach out to me and I can't assist, I'll move you forward to someone else. So Rabbi Nikwe on any of the platforms.
Okay. Pleasure talking to you.
Thank you so much for having me.
In there. Thank you so much. Okay, guys. So yes, Godring is just about to plug you onto this amazing photographer. Stay tuned.